What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here in this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, let's talk about DEC because there were some big moves in the background here. And while, we haven't really burned anything over the last 4 months or so, you can see here that the team is now holding over 600 million. But that 600 million came out of the DAO, and this was all part of the proposal that passed, right, for the team to run some promo cards. So here's the thing. I am looking at what it's going to take for us to really get back to PEG. Now, before this had happened, right, because this 600 million has technically recirculated back into the circulating supply, right? It's not burned. It's not locked up in the DAO. Technically, the team is holding it, so, I don't think that they're going to dump it on the market. This will probably be a good proxy for us to see how much in terms of credits is actually coming in because the team is going to pay that out on the back end. But here is the more important part. When we were looking at how much had been minted for the Gladiator cards, right? Because I think it was the Gladiator cards, the DEC pool. I'm sorry, yeah, the DEC pools or LPs that essentially had their rewards turned off. All of that essentially was the main reason that we ended up so far, well, below PEG. And obviously we've gotten much further below PEG with all the recent price action, downward price action. So at that point in time, I was thinking to myself, we probably need to burn anywhere between 200 to 300 million. Right? Just based on what we were seeing in terms of the increase from the burning of the reward cards. On top of that, now we have this 600 million, right? So that puts us between 8 to 900 million. And I'm just going to round up at this point, right? Let's just call it a clean billion DEC that we would need to burn. So I'm now eyeing for us to get down to the 4.7 billion DEC range in order for us to get back to PEG. Now, that doesn't necessarily need to be burned because it could technically get locked up on one of two places, right? Land or back in the DAO. But keep in mind that land, I don't think we're getting any, major updates within the next couple of months, right? And with Rebellion, meaning that the DEC would go into the DAO, or half the DEC from those purchases would go into the DAO. I don't think we're going to see anything crazy really happen until October, November, maybe not even until December, right? Especially if people who have a bunch of extra start offloading in October, November at the end of conflicts, and then we see the speculation come in. Again, it's just speculation. We don't even know how much it'll be. I'll talk about that in a separate video. But we wouldn't see that until November or December, in my opinion. So if we're looking at, next major updates for land, next major updates for Rebellion, aka, DEC going to the DAO, I really don't think that's happening until probably late into Q4, mid to late Q4. So the only things that we have at this point are potential DEC burns. Now, the two big ones that are coming up, obviously we have the corresponding cards that are being released, right? The promo cards. The team wants to launch, I think, at least a couple every month between now and the end of the year. And that was taken from one of the recent podcast episodes with the People's Guild and Investigators. So shout out to the People's Guild. So I don't know, we haven't heard anything about it. Maybe we'll hear more in the upcoming town hall. But if that ends up being the case, then, we could probably see one by late August. We'd probably see another one in September, another one in October. And each of those, right, the team was estimating would or could potentially burn 200 million, right? I don't know what the appetite is right now. Markets are down, especially in all the altcoins. So I think that might be a little optimistic. But I'm just saying where the team was at because they said we'll pull out 600 million, and then on average we think that each of these cards or each of these promo card sales, we'll call them, can burn like 200 million. So that would be a full billion right there, right, with a net of like 400 million that we would be burning. So we're counting all that. Sorry, I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out. But if we have August, September, maybe even into October before we start seeing any activity for land or Rebellion, that could be potentially 3 sets of promo cards that are released. Does that equal 600 million? I don't know, right? But the other side is that we do have just next week coming up the unlocking or unbinding of Soulbound reward cards. Now, here's another one that is a big unknown, and I've been saying that it's a big unknown for a long time, right? It's an X factor in a lot of the calculations that I've been doing. But with what we know so far in terms of how people feel about the unlock cost, and with there not being an end or a finishing of the new player experience in sight, meaning new players will be coming in, I don't quite know what the appetite will be for these Soulbound reward cards. So you might get some people speculating early on and, burning or unbinding all of their cards, but I really think it's probably going to be minimal at best. I mean, I don't even know how to calculate something like that. It really just depends. There's 3,000 accounts playing in Wild. I would assume a lot of them are botted. A lot of them probably aren't going to be spending money on the game. We have, I don't know, like probably a couple hundred folks, real folks playing in Modern. Maybe they would want it. Again, it's tough to say. I don't think that we're burning like the other 400 million, at least not yet. Right? This is something that's going to go on for 6 months following the August 15th release. So if the team is successful in terms of bringing new players in at the end of the year or early next year, you could see a ton of stuff getting burned or unbind, right? And therefore DEC getting burned. But again, that's like outside of the 3-month window that I'm looking at here between now and we'll say like mid-November. So we are potentially going to see a lot more DEC coming into play. And with that calculation earlier of like, well, we need to burn like $1 billion DEC, right? I don't think that's too far off considering how far below peg we are. Now, the other part, and I'll close with this, the other part that is difficult to quantify as well. I mean, I've quantified it in certain ways, and we just know that the number is absurdly large, is the fact that there are reward cards being burned. We've talked about that as well. And so if you add on top of what is already going on, right? What is already going on. So you got 600 million DEC that is being recirculated by the team. You got probably 200 to 300 million DEC that's sitting in excess right now. And then you add the reward cards on top. It could be a while. It could be a long while. I hate to say it, but I don't know that we get back up to peg in 2024. I mean, maybe, right? I'd like to believe so. And if we do, I think a lot of that is going to be driven maybe not necessarily by burns, but by the Rebellion sale ending in December, right? So I think that would probably be late November, early December that we start to see that happening and people taking advantage of the discount and speculating on the future price of, Rebellion cards and their value and scarcity. But if that is not enough, right? Because I don't know that the burns coming up are going to be enough. If the Rebellion push is not enough, then it may not be until next year when we start to see hopefully more elements of land come into play. We get to see the Soulbound unbinding hopefully come into effect because new players are coming in. Those new players are coming in because they are, checking out the game and marketing is being effective. Again, so much is dependent on the timeline here, but at least for the next 3 months, here's what we know. There's going to be the unbinding. There's going to be potentially some promo cards. We know that new player experience is still being worked on. I don't think it's going to be done this month. I don't know that it's going to be done next month either, although I think that was kind of like the time frame. So between now and we'll just say the end of October, right? Maybe early November at this point, it could be a rough go with DEC not being back at peg. So I hate to be Papa Bear again, but I'm just trying to be realistic here with you. And if there's something that I'm missing, please do let me know. I'm just trying to look at where the tokenomics are at right now, the health of the game economy, the amount of burning of cards and therefore minting of DEC that we're seeing, and taking that all into consideration here. And it's just difficult for me to see us getting back up to peg. And this is why, again, the gambit of the team to go super heavy on marketing once the new player experience is done is the solve all problem, right? So at this point, obviously that's where the team's head is at. They're going to continue working on that. But for us, we might have to sit tight for another 3 to 5 months before we see the flywheel in action and any other kind of major economic activity here. Now, again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope people just absolutely want to unbind their cards, and I hope they go absolutely crazy on all of the promo cards, but I'm being very cautious and conservative right now. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That is all I have for you guys in this video. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.